I'm Fizzy, this is my kitchen. Let's make something. So today is week 2 of movie month and I'm going to be making Lembas Bread from the Lord of the Rings series. There's not that much information on Lembas Bread, but it is said to originate when Vala Yavanna brought some corn that she grew on her fields in Armen over and said, "Here, make this bread, it's amazing." And they would wrap it in leaves, in malon leaves, and it would keep fresh for months and months and months. And the description of it in the books, at least, is that it's goldeny yellowish on the outside and cream on the inside. So with that information, I'm going to be making a polenta bread, or a maize meal bread. I'm going to be making 3 different types. I'm going to be making a plain version, a seeded version, and a herb version. Let's do it. Okay, so let's start with the dough. Into a bowl, you're going to want to put some warm water, your yeast, a little bit of sugar, and some flour. Give it a good whisk and set it somewhere warm so that the yeast can get a bit of a head start, because this is a very dense bread. You want as much help as possible. Here comes the messy bit. You're going to want to put your polenta and half of your flour, less than 2 tablespoons, onto a nice clean work surface. I'm going to make a well and pour in part of your yeast mixture and mix that with your hands. See, it's very messy. And just keep slowly adding in the yeast mixture. Once you have about half of it mixed in, then you're going to want to start adding the other half of your flour. And just keep mixing it, and eventually we'll combine together into a dough. Once you've got the last of the flour and the last of your mixture in there, just one final sprinkling of flour and a good knead to make sure it's all combined. After that, we will put in our sea salt and olive oil, and then knead that through. Once you've done that, we will set it aside to rise for a good hour or until it's doubled in size. After it's risen, I'm going to want to dump it out onto a floured surface. Knock some of the air out, and then we're going to divide it into 3. Now let's get on to the different fillings. Obviously we're going to leave one plain. The first one I'm doing here is the seeded one, so I'm just going to flatten it out a bit and add in some seeds. These are just mixed seeds. And knead that in until it's all equally mixed. Next one's going to be the herby one. And again, flatten it out, and into it I'm going to be adding some rosemary, thyme, and basil. Just ripping it up with my hands, no need to chop it up. And again, kneading that through, making sure the herbs are distributed evenly throughout the dough. Now we're going to make them into little Lembas bread shapes. So I'm just going to roll them out until they're a little bit flatter. And score them across the top. Do that with all 3 of my dough balls. And again, you're going to want to let them rise for another hour or so. Once they've risen, I'm going to cover them in a little bit of olive oil. After that, you're going to want to stick them in the oven at 180 degrees. For about 30-35 minutes, or until they're nice and golden on top. Then it's done. So I've got wedges of all 3 here. I'm going to try the plain one first. It's golden on the outside, cream on the inside. I'm going to try this one first. It's denser than normal bread. You can really taste the crumb, but it's good. Got a slightly different texture as well. A slightly more grainy texture. It's not unpleasant. Okay, let's try the seeded one. I like that better than the plain one. The seeds give it just a slightly nicer texture. It's nicer in your mouth. Now the herby one. That's really good. That'd be good with cheese. But no, they're really quite good. Plain one probably needs to be with something. Seeded one far better, and the herby one, that in my opinion, that's the best one. Have that with like, a baked camembert. Just really piss off all the elves because you know how to make Lembas bread. Well, if you enjoyed what you just watched, make sure you hit that like button, check out my other videos and subscribe if you haven't already. Till next time.